तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ओम तव कथामृतं तप्त जीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमंगलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying here the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we are in the midst of the conversations of Sunday, April 15, 1883. Sorry that I could not announce about yesterday's holiday. Yesterday was Holy Mother's Jayanti, and I could not, I forgot to announce it on Tuesday because Wednesday we had the university class. Anyway, so we pick up from the beginning of this conversation. Surendra, a beloved lay disciple of the master, had invited him to his house on the auspicious occasion of the Annapurna Puja. So this should not confuse you. Annapurna Puja in most of the places in India is on Margashirsha Purnima, which was on 8th or 9th of December. But in Bengal, it is different. In Bengal, what we call the Vasantika Navratra or Chaitra Navratra, on Ashtami of that Navratra, Annapurna Puja is celebrated. And that is why here it is April 15th. This year it was on 9th April. So, in Bengal, Annapurna Puja, within the Chaitra Navratra, the Ashtami is Annapurna Puja. And story they tell both places is same. Shiva asked Parvati to become Annapurna, and Shiva himself begged food from her. There was a drought in India, and nobody had any food. So if Mother Durga becomes Annapurna and feeds Shiva, then all people will get food. That idea is called Annapurna. And Shankaracharya has composed a song. It is very famous. Kashipura Deshwari, Bhiksham Dehi Krupavalamana Kari, Mata Annapurneshwari. And in the end of that sutra, it is said, Annapurne Sadapurne Shankara Pranavallave Jnana Vairagya Siddhartham Bhiksham Dehi Cha Parvati. Parvati, you please give us Bhiksha so that our Jnana and our Vairagya will go to perfection. So she gives material food, physical food also, and the food given by her will be conducive to our finally reaching Jnana and Vairagya because it is given by Parvati. So that is the concept of Annapurna Puja. And so on that 15th April, Surendra was celebrating Annapurna Puja, and in Bengal, image is made. So It was about 6 o'clock when Sri Ramakrishna arrived there with some of his devotees. 6 o'clock? What 6 o'clock? Morning? Evening? We shall see that. Here only 6 o'clock. It cannot be 6 early morning. No. 6 is evening should be. When Sri Ramakrishna arrived there with some of his devotees, the image of the Divine Mother had been installed in the worship hall. At her feet lay hibiscus flowers and billow leaves. From her neck hung a garland of flowers. So the image is made, that is clear here. Sri Ramakrishna entered the hall and bowed down before the image. Then he went in the open courtyard where he sat on a carpet surrounded by his devotees and disciples. A few bolsters lay on the carpet, which was covered with a white linen sheet. He was asked to lean against one of these, but he pushed it aside. Master, to the devotees, to lean against a bolster, you see, it is very difficult to give up vanity. So, sitting, leaning against the bolster, upstages vanity. I am somebody. I am special. You may discriminate saying that the ego is nothing at all, but still it comes. Nobody knows from where. So, that vanity is due to ego. And that ego is very difficult or almost impossible to destroy. From where we do not know, it comes up. That means it lies hidden and it comes out. A goat's legs jerk for a few moments even after its head has been cut off. So some example you use. Or perhaps you are frightened in a dream, you shake off sleep and are wide awake, but you feel your heart palpitating. These things, of course, go away, but ego comes back. Egotism is exactly like that. You may drive it away exactly like that, only for the moment that even after being cut away, the effects of ego reappear. But here, ego itself reappears. You may drive it away, but still it appears from somewhere. Then you look sullen and say, what? I have not been shown proper respect. So this ego expects respect for oneself, and that is vanity. Kedar, one should be lowlier than a straw and patient as a tree. We discussed this that time. Master, as for me, I consider myself as a speck of the dust of the devotee's feet. So, lower than the straw. Sri Ramakrishna says, like a speck of dust on the devotee's feet. So, absolutely low. Vedanath arrived. So, this is the point. He was a well-educated man, a lawyer of the High Court of Calcutta. With folded hands, he saluted the master and took his seat at one side. It shows that he did not have ego, though he was a big man. He saluted the master, folded hands, and took a seat. It also may mean that he did not bow down or touch his feet, but with folded hands he saluted. Surendra, to the master, he is one of my relatives. Master, yes, I see. He has a nice nature. So Sri Ramakrishna has judged him immediately, and if there is something good and Sri Ramakrishna praises, then that man becomes thing. When he knows that Sri Ramakrishna has appreciated a particular quality, he gives more value to that quality, and that quality becomes firm in him. That is Sri Ramakrishna's praise. Surendra, he has come here because he wants to ask you a question or two. So he wanted to ask a question, and he thought Sri Ramakrishna will give him proper reply. Master, to Vaidyanath. All that you see, now before he asks a question, Thakur has understood him and he is making a background. All that you see is the manifestation of God's power. So, first point he makes is, yes, whatever you see is God's power, Shakti. What is Shakti? God becomes all this through names and forms. So the power to become the world through names and forms, it may be appearance, but there requires a power to become like that. And that is called Shakti. And then that Shakti is not different from Brahman, because it is Brahman's own characteristic that it becomes all this world. And so that, like the burning power of the fire and fire, like that, they are not different from each other. That Sri Ramakrishna has been always telling. But here he mainly refers that it requires a power. No one can do anything without this power. So, the very important to understand in our life. The original power is Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Karta. Now, we are Srishta Jivas. Now, we feel I do this, you do this, but actually the power to do belongs to God only. From that original power, like a reflection, we get some power. We hear the story in Kenopanishad that Brahman won the war against Asuras for Devas. Devas thought, we have won the war, we are great. And God understood. And he thought, if they think like that, they will go to destruction because of the wrong knowledge. So he appeared before them and they could not understand who he is. And so they sent Agni and then Vayu, and they could not understand. And so there it was shown. Instead of their asking, they become dazzled, could not speak. Brahman appeared, and Brahman asked Agni, who are you? And what do you do? He says, I am Agni, I can burn the whole world. Then he puts a straw there, burn this. And Agni jumps with all his power on that straw, he could not burn. Because the power to burn appears to belong to Agni, but it is all the time one of the powers of this Srishti Siddhi Pralaya. So it belongs to Brahma. Brahma. And so if Brahma gives that power on loan or udhar, we say, temporarily, then only the Agni can exhibit it. And if it withdraws or suspends or stops, Agni has no power. This is true of every one of us. We do this, we do that. The power to do belongs to God. And God's will, He gives us a little power. And if we think it is our power, He may stop that. If He stops, we cannot use it. If He allows us to use or gives us a little for use, then it is ours. Like so, that Sri Ramakrishna is telling him without his asking a question. No, another point in that. But you must remember that there is not an equal manifestation of God's power in all things. So there is a wrong concept that we are all equal. We are all equal in the sense we are all manifestations of God. But in practical life, God has given some power of manifestation to an ant, some power of manifestation to man. And within man, all men are never equal. They may appear to have a human body and a human mind and a human power. But nothing beyond that is identical between two men. And so, by external appearance, partial, we say all men are equal. But in the modern times, I will tell you, because I was in Chandigarh, Punjab, for a long time, there the Sikh people, like the modern people, feel that all are same. And for that, they quote a peculiar example that all of us, if you take the blood, it is red in color. Now, if we extend that, all animals' blood also is red in color. And in the modern biology, DNA of every person is different. So, the power is not same. Vidyasagar once asked me, and we have dealt with this during Thakur's visit to Vidyasagar, and Thakur repeats that thing because that is a common idea between the modern educated people. Vidyasagar once asked me whether God endowed some with greater power than others. I said to him, if there are no greater and lesser manifestations of his power, then why have we taken the trouble to visit you? Have you grown two horns? So it stands to reason that God exists in all beings as the all-pervasive power, but the manifestation of his power are different in different beings. So he shows this as a reason that we have come to you because you have more power. We have not come to you to see your two horns. Vedanath. Now Vedanath gets the time to ask a question. Sir, I have a doubt. It is coming back to that power. Huh? People speak of free will. They say that man can do either good or evil according to his will. Is it true? He is a questioner. Huh? Are we really free to do whatever we like? Then only that greater and endless power will come. Master, everything depends on the will of God. The world is his play. He has created all these different things, great and small, strong and weak, good and bad, virtuous and vicious. He has created different types of people. This is all his Maya. That means the creation itself is apparent creation. His sport, because it is all delightful if you know that it is Maya. You must have observed that all the trees in a garden are not of the same kind. So obviously he shows an example. All men don't have free will. They are not independent at all. They are made as God has made them. See the trees. They are all not same. God has made them different. As long as a man has not realized God, he thinks he is free. So when he does not know that God has given me this freedom or not, he thinks I am free. It is God himself who keeps this error in man. Oh, why this error in man? So that he will feel responsible. He will not do bad things deliberately. That is the reason why God has kept us like that, so long as we have not the real knowledge. Beautiful. Otherwise, sin would have multiplied. So I am not responsible. I am doing anything. That sin would have been responsible. So God has kept this error that we have a free will and we'll have to suffer for our actions. Man would not have been afraid of sin and there would have been no punishment for it. So if you do something bad, you will get the bad result. That would not be there if I feel that I am not free. But do you know the attitude of one who has realized God? So realized vision. Wrong vision, error, realized vision, attitude of man of knowledge. He feels I am the machine and thou, O Lord, are the operator. I am the machine, you are the operator. I am the house and thou art the indweller. I am the chariot and thou art the driver. I move as thou movest me. I speak as thou makest me speak. So, through several examples, he has shown that I do. It appears I am doing. But as you make me do, that is done through me. As you make me speak, that is spoken through my mouth. This is the correct attitude. To Vedanta, it is not good to argue, isn't that so? So he knows that there may be so many sides to this question, so many arguments will be put, but the more arguments you use, the more deluded you become. Reason has no capacity to reach the truth. Reason can disprove the wrong things, but reason has absolutely no capacity to reach the truth. And so, argument is not good. If we understand this, we will not argue. We will have faith in the scriptures and we will use our reason or understanding to understand what it says, but not for argument. The Vyasadeva, Mother and Vyas in Brahma Sutras has made a sutra, Tarka Apratishthana. Logic has no base. And Shankar in his commentary says, if you put some logic, somebody else will put a settler logic, you can put a third logic, there is no end to that. It's a hard point to grab because we have become mad of our ego and our logic. Vedanath immediately accepted that. Yes, sir, the desire to argue disappears when a man attains wisdom. So, wisdom is jnana. And if that is attained, the desire to argue is not there. Bhavate nati vadi, the Upanishad tells. But that is not attained. Man feels he is free and he argues. Beautiful statement. The master, out of his stock of a dozen English words, said, "Thank you," in the most charming way, and all laughed. Thakur knew not only half a dozen, quite a few English words. From the gospel itself, I made a list, and it grew and grew. But because of that English use, people laughed. Master to Vedanath, you will make spiritual progress. So this you have understood, you will make spiritual progress. People don't trust a man when he speaks about God. Even if a great soul affirms that he has seen God, still the average person will not accept his words. Deluded. He says to himself, if this man has really seen God, then let him show him to me, so they don't understand. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. I pervade this world in a way that I am not seen. That is the very pervasion of it, because it is a subtler and subtler and subtlest thing. Beyond senses, beyond mind, beyond I. So he is not shown in a test tube. But can a man learn to feel a person's pulse in one day? So the mental training is necessary. And when the mind is trained, one attains subtler powers and then one can realize God. That is the process. So Thakur describes it in this way. Now this is a great Indian science. People say in Kerala or Tamil Nadu that the original Ayurveda did not have that idea. May or may not be. But today, if you go to a really expert Ayurvedic doctor, he will not have to undergo many physical tests to determine what you are suffering from. And like homeopath, he will not ask you hundreds of questions about the symptoms also. What you have to do when you go to Ayurvedic doctor, you just give your hand in his hand. And he places his finger, these 3 fingers like this, and he starts talking. And you have to say yes or no. He will say, oh, you are coughing, isn't it? The cough increases in the evening, isn't it? All this you understand by the subtle difference of the nadis. No, this cannot be written in a textbook. That is the nadi is this or this or this, it will be like this. This is learned through practical application. For that, mind has to be trained. He must go about with a physician for many days. Only then can he distinguish the different pulses. So, with the Ayurvedic doctor, if he moves many days, then he will give him practical training. He will feel himself, and then he will ask him to feel, and then he will understand that this is slow, that is fast, and so many things. It is not like allopathic doctors putting their fingers. They only count how many strokes in a minute. That is not that. Or faster, or louder, or that. It is not that. It is subtler difference because our bodily functions are constituted by Maruta, Vata, Pitta. So, Kapha, Vata, Pitta. And so, the percentage, where it is working and all that, it is a very delicate science. But unless that is learned, you are not a good Ayurvedic Vaidya. And so, the mind has to be trained for many days. Your life habits, your thinking, your feeling, everything has to undergo a change, living with a Brahmajna Guru. And that is why in Prashnopanishad we find that 6 sadhakas went to ask a question from Pipalada. Pipalada says, I know you are tapasvis, but stay like that tapasya with me for 1 year and then ask your question. So life is a very important thing. Getting trained by Brahma is a very important thing. He must be in the company of those with whom the examination of the pulse has become a regular profession. So going with those, he will learn. Can anyone and everyone pick out a yarn of particular count? Now what is the count of a yarn? On the cloth it is written 60 by 60, 100 by 100, 80 by 80. That means in 1 inch, how many threads are there? That is the count. 100 count means 100 threads within 1 inch. So it is very, very fine thread. If it is 40 threads within 1 inch, then the thread is very thick and the cloth is thick. So that is the yarn. If you are in that trade, that means habituated to that, you can distinguish in a moment a 40 count thread from a 41. It is beyond us. We can find or judge, as I said, 40, 60, 80, 100, but 40 and 41 within 1 inch, how much small difference will be there? But if you are in the trade, that means we have been observing that, we have been making it, we are in the company of them, then only we learn. So all this requires a training of the mind to see God. Without that training, how can I see God? And we say, show me God. So, this much conversation has taken place. Question or two was said, but one question only has asked up till now. The kirtan was about to begin because that was the arrangement. Some Vaishnavas were seated on one side with their mridangas and cymbals. Annapurna Puja. But Surendra had invited Vaishnavas to sing. A drummer began to play on his instrument preparatory to the singing. The sweet and melodious sound of the mridanga. Mridanga means made of clay. Mridanga. Filled the courtyard, calling to mind the ecstatic kirtan of Sri Gauranga or Chaitanya. By the association, by the hearing of mridanga, that one is reminded of that. The master passed into a deep spiritual state. Now and then he looked at the drummer and said, my hair is all standing on end. So that melodious beat of the drum, it is a speciality of Indian percussion instruments. The West are charmed by that. They use these instruments only to keep time. But Indian percussion instruments and the experts on them can produce, like the human voice, many different phrases. So, like that, associated with Chaitanya, and Thakur said, my hair is all standing on end. That means inside the joy is coming. That is the hair standing on end. The singers asked what kind of song they should sing. The master said humbly, something about Gauranga, if you please. He never insist, but if you please. The kirtan began. They sang about the celestial beauty of Gauranga. The beauty of Gauranga's face glows brighter than the brightest gold. His smile illumines all the world. Who cares for even a million moons shining in the blue autumn sky? So, might be slightly exaggerated, but that is how to describe. लाख बाण कांचन जिनी रसे डर डर गोरा मुंजाओ मुंजांग नीचनी difficult Bengali words की काज शरद कोटि शशि जगत कोरिले आलो गोरा मुखेर हासी. we understood easily through the English. The chief musician added improvised lines in as they sang, "Oh friend, his face shines like the full moon, but it does not wane, nor has it any stain." Oh, that is how the experts do. Moon he has been compared to, but moon has some defects. Moon waxes and wanes, and moon has spots. That Chaitanya does not have that, though his face is otherwise like the moon. It illumines the devotee's heart. So here all the world was illuminated, but he says it illuminates the devotee's heart. Again he improvised. His face is bathed with the essence of a million moons. So what is the comparison with the moons? Essence of the million moons, his face is bathed with. All these words at these words, the master went into deep samadhi. After a short while, he regained consciousness of the sense world. Then he suddenly stood up, overpowered by spiritual mood, and sang improvised lines with the professionals. So he provided improvised lines now. Thinking himself to be a milkmaid of Vrindavan, gone mad with the beauty of Sri Krishna's form. From Chaitanya's form that has shifted to Krishna's form, whose fault is it? My mind's or his beauty's? That is one line. In the three worlds, I see nothing but my beloved Krishna. So everywhere she sees that. The master danced and sang. All remained spellbound as they watched, because it is the expression of the infinite joy within, no artificiality there. The Anga Pratyangas, bodily parts, hear the order of the inner joy and they move. The master danced and sang, all remained spellbound as they walked. The chief musician sang the words of a gopi. He has also shifted now. Oh flute, pray stop. Can you not go to sleep? So that is what a gopi sings. One of the musicians added a new line. How can it sleep? It rests on Krishna's lips. So they go on like that. Why the gopi wanted it to sleep? So that she will, undisturbed, look at Krishna. The master said, but it is playing on Krishna's lips, so it cannot sleep. The master sat down. The music went on. They sang, assuming the mood of Radha. My eyes are blinded. My ears are deaf. I have lost the power of smell. All my senses are paralyzed. But alas, why I am left alone in the pang of separation from Krishna. Finally, the musician sang of the union of Radha and Krishna. That is how the tradition says. धनी माला गाथे श्याम गले दोलाइते एमन समय आइलो सम्मुखे श्याम गुणमणि निधुवने श्याम विनोदिनी भोर दुहार रूपेर नाहिक उपमा प्रेमेर नाहिक और. I think we read in English and we catch it better. Radha and Krishna are joined at last in the Nidhu grove of Vrindavan. That grove is called Nidhuvan. There Raslila takes place. Incomparable their beauty and limitless their love. The one half shines like yellow gold, the other like bluest sapphire. Radha, golden, yellow gold, and Krishna, blue, sapphire. Round the neck on one side, a wildflower garland hangs, and on the other there swings a necklace of precious gems. Precious gems on Radha, wildflowers on Krishna. A ring of gold adorns one ear, a ring of shell the other. Ring of gold, Radha. Ring of shell, Krishna. Half of the brow is bright as the blazing midday sun, the other softly gleams with the glow of the rising moon. So, like that, their union is described. Upon one half of the head, a graceful peacock feather stands, that is Krishna. And from the other half, there hangs a braid of hair, Radha. So, that is how the union is described. As the music came to a close, the master said, Bhagavata Bhakta Bhagavan. The scriptures, God and devotees, they are identical. They are connected and bowed low to the devotees seated on all sides. So he sees God within the devotees and so he salutes them in all sides. No vanity there. He touched with his forehead the ground made holy by the singing of the sacred music. So he touches the ground also because of the music it has become holy. It was now about 9:30 in the evening. It is mentioned here now. From 6 o'clock to evening, this is going on. Surendra entertained the master and the devotees with a sumptuous feast. When it was time to take leave of their host, the master, the devotees, and Surendra entered the worship hall and stood before the image. Okay. Surendra to the master. No one has sung anything about the Divine Mother today because it's itself. But he himself has invited the Vaishnavas to sing. And Thakur has asked them to sing about Chaitanya. So his mind is dwelt on the mother. Master, pointing to the image. Now, Thakur, like a magician, will shift to that side. Look at the beauty of the hall. The light of the Divine Mother seems to have lighted the whole place. Such a sight fills the heart with joy. Grief and desire for pleasure disappear. Grief disappears and desire for pleasure disappears because this is immense happiness coming. But one cannot see God as formless reality. But can one not see God as formless reality? Because there are Nirakara believers also. Of course one can, but not if one has the slightest trace of worldliness. Then no form one can see. If there is a worldliness, subject-object consciousness, Vishay Bhav, then God is not there. The rishis of olden times renounced everything and then contemplated Satchidananda, the indivisible Brahman, indivisible, Akhanda Satchidananda. Akhanda, existence, knowledge, bliss. The Brahmananis of modern times, that is Brahma Samaj, seeing of God as immutable, homogeneous, it sounds very dry to me. They don't have that experience. It is very superficial. It seems as if the singers themselves don't enjoy the sweetness of God's music. So the inner experience is not there. Without that, music does not come out. One doesn't want a refreshing drink made with sugar candy if one is satisfied with mere coarse trackle. So jaggery in the beginning is that coarse trackle. And if one is satisfied with that, then that is refined into sugar, sugar into sugar candy, and that only those whose taste has become refined can appreciate that. So these people have no inner feeling. So whatever comes, they are supposed to enjoy. Just see how happy you are. So Surendra's happiness he encourages. Looking at this image of the deity, but those who always cry after the formless reality do not get anything. They realize nothing either inside or outside. But in the beginning, I said, it can be experienced, but not with worldliness. And so those Nirakarvadis are superficial, and that's why they do not enjoy. The master sang a song to the Divine Mother. Now he did not ask those singers, they are Vaishnavas. But he can sing anything. He was in Samadhi to those Vaishnava songs. He had added lines and all that, fully into that mood. But for Surendra's sake and for the image, he shifts his mind and now sings of Mother. O Mother, ever blissful as thou art, do not deprive thy worthless child of bliss. My mind knows nothing but thy lotus feet. The king of death scowls at me terribly. Tell me, mother, what shall I say to him? It was my heart's desire to sail my boat across the ocean of this mortal life. O Durga, with thy name upon my lips, I never dreamt that thou wouldst drown me here. That is all like sulking. In the dark waters of the shoreless sea, both day and night I swim amongst its waves, chanting thy saving name. Yet even so, there is no end, O mother, to my grief, no end to my grief. If I am drowned this time in such a plight, no one will ever chant thy name again. So sulking for mother, wonderful song, shifted the whole attention. Again he sang, repeat, O mind, my mother Durga's hallowed name. Whoever treads the path repeating Durga, Durga, Shiva himself protects with his almighty trident. Thou art the day, O mother, thou art the dusk and the night, all pervading nature. Huh? Sometimes thou art man and sometimes woman art thou. So Kali is not a female, it is the power of God. So sometimes she is man, sometimes she is woman. Thou mayst even say to me, step aside, go away. Yet I shall cling to thee, O Durga, unto thy feet. As thine anklets I shall cling, making their tinkling sound. I will not leave you. Mother, when as the kite thou soarest in the sky, as the kite thou soarest in the sky, there in the water beneath, as a minnow, I shall be swimming. So different relations of God. Mother is soaring like a kite, below in the water like a minnow. Upon me, thou wilt pounce and pierce me through with thy claws. Oh, this kite is not flying kite. Huh? Kite is the bird of prey. And that bird of prey pounces and eats the fish, small fish. Thus, when the breath of life forsakes me in thy grip, do not deny me the shelter of thy lotus feet. So, beautiful, loving song, one song of sulking, the others like a fulfillment, and he filled Surendra and all others' hearts with bliss. The master saluted the divine image. As he came down the steps, he called softly to Rakha, where are my shoes? Are they missing? So he was not mindful of it. Now these words are given in English. Actually, he could not utter the words. In Bengali, O Ra Ju A. O Rakal, Juto Ache. O Rakal, are the shoes there? As the master got into the carriage, Surendra and the other devotees bowed down before him. Then the carriage started for Dakshineshwar. The moon still lighted the streets. So about that kite it is written, according to Hindu mythology, the Divine Mother at one time took the form of a bird similar to the kite. So that allusion is there. Okay. So we shift to chapter 10. Now the master with the Brahmo devotees once had come. So it was written 1 and here 2. April 22, 1883. Is sounding nonsense. 1 minute, just a minute. I would not have seen even. Oh. Sri Ramakrishna paid a visit to Veni Madhav Pal's garden house at Siti near Calcutta on the occasion of the semi-annual festival of the Brahma Samaj. It had come on the previous year, that has come now again. Many devotees of the Samaj were present and sat around the master. Now and then some of them asked him questions. A Brahmo devotee, sir, what is the way? That is the permanent question. Master, attachment to God. Straight away. Or in other words, love for him. And secondly, prayer. Love for him, man. Secondly, if that has not come, pray to him. Slowly it will come. Brahmo devotees. Which one is the way? Love or prayer? So Thakur said secondly. So the Brahmo devotees think they are two alternates. So he asked, which one is the way? Love or prayer? Master, first love and then prayer. So that prayer should also be through love. So not prayer for more love. Love and prayer. Prayer means for nearness to God, for merging in God. The master sang, cry to your mother Shama with a real cry, O mind. And how can she hold herself from you? How can Shama stay away? A real cry can come by love only. And then she cannot stop. Continuing, the master said, and one must always chant the name and glories of God and pray to him. And one must always chant the name and glories of God and pray to him. This is, of course, the beginning. An old metal pot must be scrubbed every day. What is the use of cleaning it only once? Further, one must practice discrimination and so he has told the ideal and now he is supplying the means of that. Further, one must practice discrimination and renunciation. One must be conscious of the unreality of the world. So if we remember the second day of Master's visit, and him asking how to keep the mind in God, same thing comes everywhere. The end there, fourth question, that has come here in the beginning. And then the back steps. So, chant the name of God, glories of God, pray to him. That is like scrubbing the pot every day. Discrimination, renunciation, and both mean conscious of the unreality of the world. Now from that, a question comes, Brahmo, is it good to renounce the world? Discrimination and dispassion must be there. But should one renounce the world? Master, not for all. There the difference is there. Some can practice in the mind and some totally. Those who have not yet come to the end of their enjoyments should not renounce the world, so that bhoga sanskaras are there. Unless through discrimination and renunciation one comes to the end of that sanskaras, then one should renounce from outside, not till then. Can one get drunk on 2 annas worth of wine? So, God intoxication when it comes, then world can be given up. So, little wine, that means God's name if you take, that will not come. Brahmo. Then should they lead a worldly life? So, the cross-questioning like will continue till Thakur gives them the pure, the full way. Master, yes, they should try to perform their duties in a detached way. So first is karma, but in a detached way. Still below we are going. Before you break the jackfruit open, rub your hands with oil so that the sticky milk will not smear them. So, without attachment is like this. If you get that detachment, then you can do work in the world. The maid servant in the rich man's house performs all her duties, but her mind dwells on her home in the country. So this is the example. Rich man's house means God's house. Your own house, you are like a maid servant, and the house belongs to God. And then your mind is on God. So two things are mixed up here. This is an example of doing duty in a detached way. You should detach meaning your mind should be attached to God. You should renounce the world only in mind. But a sannyasi should renounce the world both inwardly and outwardly. Now, one point had come there, end of enjoyment. So this is a sincere questioner and wants to be clear on every point. Brahmo, what is the meaning of the end of enjoyment? Master, I mean the enjoyment of woman and gold. Let us stop here. Huh? A new topic comes or it goes deeper and deeper. We'll get all the answers. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhirīditam Kalmashāpaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hare Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.